Are you afraid you won't live up to your creative potential? Are you taking on armloads of tasks but are afraid your arms won't be open when the right thing comes along?
Today on Honestly, Dear Listener, we're talking about slowing down to speed up, the act of giving up control so we can open ourselves up to the magic of making things.
And we're also talking about eating bugs without knowing it.
We're two childhood best friends talking about creative mindset.
I'm Emily Hatch.
And I'm Carrie Schaefer, and this is Honestly, Dear Listener.
Honestly, dear listener.
Woo!
I have a question for you.
Oh, yes, hit me with your best shot.
Did you know that the FDA approves a certain amount of bugs and bug parts in our food?
Huh?
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Wait.
I've been seeing these weird videos on like social media that yes, I do have it. That like is ramen, and I just saw one this morning of Oreos under
No.
microscopes,
No.
and there are these little bugs crawling
No.
inside them and on them.
Emily, don't you dare take Oreos away from me.
I'm not, but I'm just saying they're friends with them.
Gross.
And
Why?
on the deep dive, because the one of the profiles that posted the Oreo one was like a crazy lady, so I was like, is this real? But it is. There are a certain amount of bug parts and bugs that are approved to be in our food.
Wait, like certain parts of the bug body are okay to be in our food? Like maybe a left uh
Tentacle?
t-
No, not tentacle.
is
Antenna?
that yeah, a
Yeah, that's
left
what.
antenna, but not like the bottom right half of the thorax.
No, I think it's just a like weight in bugs.
Oh gosh.
So like there's some disappointing ones
Yeah.
that tomato sauce in all
No.
forms, ketchup. Um those are a higher percentage of bugs and peanut butter.
What's a low percentage so I can eat those things?
uh I let me see. I don't know. Honestly, I can't think of any. All that stuck out to me was like how much I basically drink ketchup
Uh-huh.
and, just eat peanut butter.
Well, yeah, like on a spoon, just
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
"Bleh." Yep.
Yeah.
Totally with you.
Bugs.
I just heard okay, so the South right now, which is where I am in Tennessee, the South is having cicada season.
Mhm.
And cicadas are a yearly thing for us. If you don't know what they are, they're probably like 2 inches long and they've got these wings and they're under the ground and they come out and then they sing and they're very loud and they swarm sometimes. So they'll they'll fly into your hair and then they shed their exoskeletons and lay eggs, I guess, and go back into the ground. Well, we get them a lot every 13 years, 19. There's like a 13-year brood and a 19-year brood, and they just cook in the ground eating tree sap or something for like 13 or 19 years. And then they come up, and then it's like plague, like exodus plague levels of cicadas.
Mm.
So I heard from a friend, and I'm into this stuff. I'm into weird facts and like gross, like I'll be like, ew, but secretly I'm like, yeah. So my friend told me that there are these moms online that are like, let's just go with it. And they've come up with recipes on how you can use cicada parts in food recipes.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, surely they're talking about grinding down exoskeletons because cicadas will shed them. And then they have there's like on all of our trees and buildings, there's like all these exoskeleton shells that have been vacated by these
Mm.
cicadas.
Mm.
And like dogs love them. They're probably high in protein, it's roughage, whatever. No, it's like the actual gooey bits of the cicada that they're using. And that's where I draw the line.
In in my travels, they were saying in one of these videos I watched that um, they think that with post-apocalyptic whatever,
Mm.
or like just even not even post-apocalyptic, but just uh
As global warming
thank you,
goes
climate
on. Yeah.
change.
Hmm.
Yes, that we're gonna be eating bugs.
Yeah. I actually it's okay, if you can get past how gross it is, it's actually not terrible. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying this and on a public platform too. But it actually makes sense because it's really hard it's expensive and it takes a lot of resources to eat higher up on the food chain like beef.
Mhm.
And those resources are going to become more scarce as
Mhm.
climate change is happening because it's going to be impossible to sustain feeding those kinds of things. So yeah, a plentiful source of protein is and will continue to be insects.
And there are so many of them compared
Oh
to
yeah.
animals and people.
Yep.
So yeah, interesting, interesting fact there.
You know,
Um,
if you put anything, I'm convinced if you put anything on a graham cracker, it's going to taste good. Like
I
graham
wonder how many
crackers.
bugs are in graham crackers
Oh God. Oh, no.
or on. Anywho,
Yeah. Well,
super,
there you go.
super interesting. And now I feel weird about ramen, but I'll eat it anyway because it's healthy. Just kidding, it's not. Um, so speaking of being fascinated by gross and weird things,
Uh-huh.
um, last week I did a laryngeal manipulation class, which is
Ooh.
why I wasn't on the podcast. I was in LA and I basically learned how to strangle people in a therapeutic way.
Yes. And get paid for it.
Yes. So
Wow.
I took this class with Amy Chapman, who is, um, for those nerds out there, a speech language pathologist and a voice teacher. So she has a medical, like a license to help people from a medical perspective. That's what that means. And she is the SLP, is short for speech language pathologist and voice teacher for um, The Masked Singer and a bunch of other
Ooh.
things. She sees a lot of famous clients, and I got to practice my laryngeal manipulation on her, and I will tell you that is pretty scary, but that's how much she believes in what she's doing and her teaching, that she could teach us to do it and let us do it on her. Um, After having my throat squeezed by multiple people, I can say, in the class and
Sure.
otherwise, but
So
we're
it's
not
totally
here to
fine.
talk about that. Um, I can say that my voice feels so free. It's almost disturbing.
Okay,
Um,
so what are you doing during what is it?
Laryngeal.
Laryngeal? Ooh, it makes me
Mhm.
feel a little dirty just saying it.
Um, Laryngeal manipulation.
Yeah.
It's basically voice massage. So, if you want to, freak yourself out, touch your
Yeah.
throat and find
Okay.
like the biggest bump that you can
Wait.
find in your cartilage in the front,
Okay, I
and
think I
that's
found it.
your thyroid cartilage. So,
Okay.
um, basically, your vocal cords live in there, and that's your larynx that you're feeling. All
Wait, is it
that.
up here or is it down here?
So the big bump is further toward the middle slash lower.
Like here.
Mm-hmm. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
up higher, you probably feel the only floating bone in the body,
The
your
hyoid bone?
hyoid bone. Yes. So I often with my students will sing the hyoid bone's connected to the nothing. Yeah, it's the only one that's not connected to something. Anyway, so laryngeal manipulation is basically moving that apparatus around,
Like
including,
this? Oh, that's so creepy.
yeah, you can actually like move it yourself from side to side. It's if there's clicking and popping in there, it's okay. It's just just your ligaments and muscles and stuff moving around. Um,
Whoa.
and with laryngeal manipulation, I'm kind of like stretching the space between the hyoid bone and uh, the cartilage that your Eve's apple, your Adam's apple, gross. Anyway, um, and like helping stretch things out. It's kind of crazy. And
Interesting.
yeah, so like helping your muscles be more free. You can scooch that around very safely. It freaks people out because it's your windpipe. That's a real
Right.
thing.
Well, and it looks
Um,
super creepy. Like if you're watching yourself do it in the mirror, it looks like there's like a fat worm in your throat that you're moving around.
I look at it like a little internal gas mask that has like a tube under it. That's
Uh
kind of what
huh.
it looks like to me. And you can just
Interesting.
kind of like yoop, 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 move it over side to side. Yeah. So I love weird things like that. When
Uh
I was a
huh.
kid, I was not like, this is weird, not like into feet or something, but I was like, I don't mind rubbing people's feet or like peeling off sunburned skin. And
Ooh,
now I'm like, I'm going
that's
to
great.
pop your throat around. It's
Mm-hmm.
pretty exciting in a very happy way. So
Totally.
that's what I did last week.
That's awesome.
It was
I
very fun.
I have to say that I have been cleared to tell you that I I think I said a couple episodes at some point. I said something's in the works. It's really exciting, but I can't talk about it yet. Well, I can officially talk about it.
Can't wait.
I am a co-host with actress and voice actress Patricia Patz on the Peanuts Gallery. It is a podcast that okay, so a little bit of background on Patricia. She was the voice of Peppermint Patty in the movies for like the Charlie Brown specials and stuff that they would have. She actually knew Charles Schultz and he chose her to play that role as Peppermint Patty.
Mm,
And so she was looking for a co host to talk about Peanuts things. And basically, what we do is we interview people that are in the industry or who just have a love for Peanuts. And we talk about how our brains and our psyches actually relate to different Peanuts characters. And I love it, which is something that I've been super interested in since I played Sally Brown and You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown twice back in the day. And I just think that Peanuts is just so profound. Even now, it so much of it stands up to it holds up now. So pretty cool. Go over
yay!
and listen to us if you would like to at we are the Peanuts Gallery. So that's pretty exciting.
Congratulations, dude.
Thanks,
I've
friend.
been really excited about that announcement.
Me too.
Carrie's
It's really
famous
fun.
now, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So famous. No, but
Yeah.
I did meet the pink Power Ranger the other day. So hair flip.
Nice.
I know.
Oh my God. You didn't tell me that. I'm excited.
Well, yeah, at Comic-Con, which is a whole episode we could do on just Comic-Con. It's fascinating. So
Where were you?
we were at the Nashville Comic-Con and
Nice.
yeah, it's interesting. There's like two rooms. One room is for the plebes. Those are non-famous people, but
Mm.
still who do cool stuff and make cool stuff too. And then there's the celebrity room, which are a bunch of tables that like celebrities sit at. And it could be anything like they could be illustrators, they could be voice actors, they could be actors like on TV shows and movies and things like that. And basically, you just go up and you pay them to either sign something for you or to have a selfie with them. Like, depending on how famous you are, I mean, you could charge like $60 for a selfie.
Whoa.
I was like, "What?" So, yeah,
Amazing.
it was really interesting. I know. So anyway, that's my news.
Well, that's really exciting. And
Well, I know.
Comic-Con, that's so
I know.
fun. Is this maybe going to be like a regular thing that you guys might do some Comic-Con things?
I think so. I think we're well, and I'm kind of, the girl that goes along with the more famous person being Patricia and, asks questions and that's my role in the show is cuz it's all I've ever wanted to do is just ask people questions that people that are interesting, which is like basically everyone. And
Mhm.
so yeah, so I'll probably just go to Comic Cons and ask questions. So like awesome,
That's so
awesome
cool.
opportunities. Yeah.
Yay.
So it's neat.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, Emily, what are we talking about today?
What are we talking about today? Well, I was about to say that I think it's interesting that you said, you know, asking interesting people questions, or which is everyone, because everyone
Hmm.
is has their own story. And I was it yesterday. I have a business coach that I've hired who is a vocal was a vocal teacher and singer, and so she is very in touch with the artist's brain. And yesterday she said something in our coaching session where she's like, "Did you know that there's a study or something that said the most popular kids in school actually were the kids who liked the most people because
Ah.
you thinking everyone's cool makes people like you."
Yeah.
So I just think that's interesting that you're like, yeah, and it's just fun to ask everyone questions because and that makes you someone that people like to hear ask questions and care about, what you have to say about things because you're an open person. Anyway,
Well, thank
I
you.
don't know. I don't know if yeah, I'm glad you took that as the compliment that I meant it because that was a
I
little
I
scattered of
do. I take it
good.
as a full compliment and I thank you for it. Hair
What I'm
flip.
trying to say is you're a popular girl.
Oh,
um
yeah. You know,
because you like everybody.
I was not a if we're using that definition of popularity, I was not a popular girl growing up because I apparently was mean to a lot of people, which we were talking about right before we press play. And I am not proud of that.
It was funny because Carrie was like, and we've established in other episodes, like in the patriarchy episode with Rachel, um, that you did kind of not love me or her at
Totally.
first,
Yes.
and so right before the episode, Carrie's like, "Was I mean? Like I was mean?" And I was like, "Yeah." And
Yeah.
she's like, "Why were you friends with me?" And I was like, "I don't know." Because so the thing is, she wasn't mean if you were in the inner circle.
Totally.
It wasn't like a Regina George situation where like, why are you friends with her? Like you were totally cool with me. But I don't
Yeah.
know why we became friends after you were not nice to me. So,
I think I just woke up and was like, "Oh, actually she's really really weird." And like weirdness is paramount for me. I'm like,
that
if you're
is
weird,
true.
like yeah, or you're into like kind of strange things, like I want to know about it. I want to talk about it. I think it's that whole going back to how we were raised in high control evangelical religion. You have boxes. You have a good box and you have a bad box. And mine were very distinct. Like they were on opposite sides of the gymnasium from each other,
Mm,
like and so if you were in, you were in the good box. If you were out, you were in the bad box and I'm going to make fun of you.
mhm.
Which I think was, even though I think representatives from that religion would be like, "We didn't teach you to do that." Well, you gave me the mental framework to do that.
Mhm.
And so yeah, in a way. And so as I've grown older, I'm like, "Whoa, those are really really those don't contain how cool people are and how weird people are and how interesting and how complicated people are." So I
Mhm.
hope that I've gotten more kind and more empathetic and more nuanced as I've gotten older. I don't know.
I
Hopefully.
really think you have. Um,
Thanks,
So it's good news.
deconstruction.
It would really be a shame if we were the same as we were when we were 13.
That's
Um,
true.
but I will tell you one thing that hasn't changed
What?
about me. My constant need to be like driving forward in literally any direction, like especially when it comes to creativity. And I think that whatever drive is in me, and we've talked about this, is like on meth and has been for a really long time. Um, that has not stopped. And recently, do you like that segue? It's
Yeah,
pretty
I
great.
do. That was good.
Um, that has not changed. I think it just is getting a little more ragged from being uh, so methed out. I've never done meth. I don't know, but you know what I'm saying. It's like that thing
Yeah.
where like they used to give soldiers meth so that they would just never stop. And I feel like
Wow.
that's my like, come on, make progress, soldier. Here's some meth. I don't know. I'm gonna move on from that analogy.
I've always
But
known you to be driven, even from a young age. You were always like, let's make things, let's do things. But it needs to have a reason. So, like, if we're going to make a dance, it needs to be because we're going to do it at this festival for Jesus, or we're going to do it for a chapel service, or like we're going to perform it somewhere, or like there has to be a reason. And I've always known you to be that kid that made things constantly.
now the question is, have I taskmastered myself into it?
Hmm.
Or what do I actually want to be doing? So I would like to welcome you to my identity crisis
Ooh.
episode. What episode are we on? Just kidding. This will be the first of these, though I don't know. I probably have been having it for a while. But my coach said, I would like for you to slow down to speed up because I
Ooh.
feel like you've got so many ideas and they're all brilliant. She's from Ireland originally, so like brilliant is just cool.
Yeah.
And she's like, but I think maybe in order to like actually make some headway, you're gonna have to quiet those and do the bare minimum for a while.
Whoa. How did you how did that lay with your brain?
I am shorting out.
Yeah.
How did that lay with your
I
brain?
don't
I
know.
like that.
That was just the first thing that came to my mind.
And she laid with her brain.
It sounds kind of biblical.
It
Something
does,
to be in the
like I
scripture.
had sex with it's a mind fuck. That's what that is.
Yes. How did that mind?
Fuck you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Uh, at first, I was like, I said, okay, I agree, but I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And so in the last 24 hours, I've gone through a lot of flipping through like a bunch of different thoughts. And I think it's settled on I have no idea how to do that. And doesn't that make me lazy?
Oh.
So like I said to her that I was worried because lately I haven't been like I am going in a lot of different directions, but I don't feel like I'm doing as much and I don't really want to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I said, I think that I might be lazy. And she like open mouth laughed. I was like, you are not lazy. Um, Slowing down to speed up is a strange concept for someone who I think that a lot of my identity is wrapped in what I do. And we've talked about that, about worth on the table and the value that you place on what you do being who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, for any of our listeners out there who have been, circling this kind of thing with me, uh, this is like our permission to slow down, right?
Yeah.
How do we do it?
So
Carrie, what do
w-
I do?
what? Well, I don't. A, I have no answers.
I know.
B, I have questions.
Okay.
The first of which is what are the feelings that happen to you when you think about slowing down? What goes through your brain?
I I have no time for that. That's what it I mean, my initial thought is the sands of time, they keep a passing.
Okay.
If I slow down, I will not do anything with my creativity in my life, and that's my goal. So if I don't constantly go and try and do, then nothing will happen and I will die having done nothing that matters. Now, that isn't true. And if any one of my friends or students said anything like that to me, I'd be like, dude, you know that's not true.
Mhm.
I know it's not true, but that's the first thing that hits me.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't do that because then I'm just watching time pass and doing nothing.
So what's worst case scenario then?
Uh, Worst case scenario is I just live in New York now and I don't do anything that I wanted to do.
So you wasted something. You wasted an
I
opportunity.
wasted time.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So do you feel like you're being super effective with your time right now?
No.
No,
Which
why
is
not?
why she's suggesting you have to quiet yourself so that
Mhm.
you can really hear what matters to you and what the next step should be. She told me, you do so many things. I can see all this stuff. I can see all these different, like how much value you have.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, then could you just like upload that information to my brain? Because I know you can't do that, but like, could you just tell me what to do? And it's like you and I have talked about before, wishing we could go back to high school
Mhm.
in our life and
Yeah.
just be like, okay, just tell me what things I have to do to be a good life lady.
Cuz that's the system, right? We're raised in a system that's like, here's the rubric for this class. Here's what you can expect. In order to win, these are all the things you have to do to get an A. It's already laid out there. Somebody has given you the structure, and then you graduate, and then there is no, where's the rubric? Where's the thing that says if you do these things, success is guaranteed? They're not there, and you're the one creating the structure. Who put me in charge?
Not I did not sign up for that.
Right. I didn't either. And I want someone to tell me what to do.
And the other thing that we learned is that if you work harder than everyone else, then you get even more reward.
Right.
You're an extra credit kind of
Oh,
gal.
that makes sense. Okay. So you're extra crediting your life.
Mhm.
Okay.
Just in case I fail a test later and that could like save me, you know.
Mm. So do you feel like where's your focus, I guess? Because if you're kind of trying to, it sounds almost like to me that you're trying to keep a bunch of balls up in the air. And
Always
yeah,
trying with the balls.
right.
Yep.
Instead of maybe focusing on one ball.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the basic premise. But what am I focusing on?
Yeah.
Um Doing things that make me happy
Mm.
that aren't working. So, essentially she said, just do the bare minimum and go for more walks cuz she asked me like what makes me feel good and I just do and it has nothing to do with making money or trying to accomplish a goal.
Hmm.
Like I like to talk to people. I like to go for walks. I like to that's about it. Um and have experiences, like different experiences. So she's like, "Okay, fill your life with that and do the bare minimum to pay your bills."
How does that lay with your brain?
It lays with my brain in a biblical sense. It's like I don't know how to do it. Um, would you say your life has a lot of space?
um,
Like, sorry, that's a weird question, but
no, I think I know what you mean. I think it has more space than I realize it does. I'm just spending so much of my extra space fretting about me wasting the space that so I'm like, I want to lay down. Yeah, but are you wasting? What could you be doing instead of laying down? Well, I could be getting up and doing da 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 da, but I don't want to do that. So I feel like the difference between you and I is you're doing all the things and exhausting yourself. I'm worrying about all the things and laying down, frozen with inaction.
hmm. But it's the same
It's the same
problem.
idea. Yeah.
Overwhelm
Yeah.
with worry about where are we in our midlife crisis? Is this the thing?
I mean, I hope so we can get that out of the way.
Let's just
Like,
go ahead and crisis all over this.
yeah, yeah. I want this to be our midlife crisis cuz I want to be done with such things so I can like go ahead and make good art or any art in general even if it's poopy art. So
Mhm.
that's fertilizer for the good art.
There's so much pressure that is literally only coming from me.
Yeah. Mhm.
Pressure that has no visible end
Mhm.
because we never get there. Because there's no there to
Yeah.
get to.
Ugh.
Ew.
But Emily, if I just publish a book,
Mhm.
then I will have gotten there and I won't feel like this anymore, right?
Mm. God, I wish.
I
Or
know.
like if I just get on Broadway,
Mhm.
then all I have to do is Wicked for the rest of my life.
That's it. And
That sounds terrible. Then you just get there and you
yeah,
just do that now forever and there's no
right?
other decisions to make. See how it's going to be hard for me to just do nothing?
So what does that practically look like? Like what are you cutting out and what are you keeping in?
I love that. So my coach was like, once you've processed what I've said here, text me and let me know your thoughts. And I'm like, oh, great, I'll do a podcast about it and I'll just process it with my friends on the internet.
Yeah.
Uh, what does that look like? What am I cutting out? You know what
Mhm.
I think it actually is like I can't cut much of anything that I'm actually doing because I need the money.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it's a matter of when I come up with ideas of shit I should start doing, or else I'm going to die having done nothing. When those come up, I go for a walk and I don't go along with it.
Okay, so you are saying that you get ideas and that the ideas you like try and do all the ideas.
Hmm.
Okay.
Or like what happens is they come up and I go, okay, am I trying to be a teacher? And if that's the case, then I have to do these things. Am I following that? Or am I trying to be a singer? And if that's
Mm.
the case, am I following that? Am I trying to be like, is this in alignment with what I'm doing? Constantly trying to figure out which big action I should be taking to do the things.
Mhm.
And then I send a rash of text messages and phone calls and get together with people because I network. That's like kind of my thing. And I'm like, what's over here? Hey, I'm
Mhm.
going to set up this voice lesson. I'm going to see if I can da 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 da. I'm going to take a laryngeal manipulation class because that seems like something I should be doing. Um, I do it,
Mhm.
but then I'm like, why am I doing this?
Mm.
So
So
it looks like stopping the. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go I'm going to, and just being like, I'm going to go for a walk and ask myself how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
This feels like I don't even know how to do this. Aren't you guys glad I'm in therapy?
Okay. So a lot of what you're talking about are behavioral changes that you're going to make. But behind every changing our behaviors isn't as effective as changing our mindset behind the behaviors.
Mhm.
So I hear you on the behavior changes, but
Mhm.
what is your mindset shift that you're trying to make here?
The mindset shift is quiet, or trying to quiet my mind
Mhm.
and be open to nothing. Uh and then see what it boils down to. Really, it's self-discovery is what it is. It's like a journey of learning to listen
Mm.
to myself, I think.
Yeah.
And hear what she wants, what she really wants, and where the value is. Like,
Yeah.
oh, God.
Okay. So I'm just going to say what it seems like to me, and you can tell me if I'm totally off base or not.
Okay.
It sounds like to me, I hear a lot of adulty, heavy things.
Mm-hmm.
I need to adult. I need to slog. I need to da da da. I need to build something because if I don't, then da da da. And adult, adult, adult. And
Mm-hmm.
I hear your kid in there who I met years ago and who I know is still in there going, but what about me? So what about her?
That's what I think, if I'm guessing what my coach is leading to, that's what it is. We're trying to
Yeah.
find her. She asked me, like, what do you think is important for everyone to know? Like, in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that you can make space for that little voice inside you that says, I want to make this thing. And you can tell that yes instead of no. That
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a business. It doesn't have to be a whole thing. I just think you should follow that. That's what this podcast is for, right?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and tell me that. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, getting quiet, getting slow to go faster, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, right now I think I'm like junk collecting. I'm like, okay, I need a bike. I need a bike so that I can get from point A to point B fast. And then I walk around and I haven't seen my bike, and I see it, or I see a bike and I'm like, it's kind of weird and broken, but I can make it work. I'm good at, okay, great. So I'm going to pull it along with me because it doesn't work yet. And then I'm going to find a wrench too. Okay, I'm going to need a wrench. I might need a wrench someday to fix this broken bike. Okay, I'm going to go up, and I probably will need an extra wheel. So I'm going to put that under my arm, and then I'm going to carry this bike, and I got my wrench under my other arm. And I think I might see a bike over there. I go, basically I'm collecting things that are like what I would like to be zipping around on, but they're slowing me
Mm.
down from finding what I actually need. Like, and meanwhile, I'm sure there's a car that's just like, hey, what about this? And I'm like, I'm sorry, my hands are full. I cannot fit all this shit into the car.
Yeah.
And I think my coach is saying, maybe you need to put all that stuff down until you actually find a car. Uh,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no. So
Yeah.
that's that's quite an analogy. But I also think the other thing is too, based off of, our religious upbringing stuff, there's a version of me I'm supposed to be, but that's
Mm.
still extremely unclear. Um, am I holding out for that? What even does that mean? It means nothing, you know? So I think there's just a lot of things tangled around.
Yeah.
So I need to be like, shh, let's listen to little Emily,
Yeah.
who just wants to make a little dance or something.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, slowing down.
So the thing that, because talking about my own, even though I have the same thing, I express it a little bit differently. I think about myself up in my bed being like, what if I don't make I won't make anything of my life, my book and like once I that's very adulty. That's like, oh, I'm thinking about, if I get an agent, then I have to blah 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 and an editor and blah blah blah, New York Times bestseller list and yeah, like those are very adulty things. And yeah, there's a time and a place for those things. But in the midst of the art, it's about being a child. It's about the opportunity to, I get to go downstairs and I get to sidle up to my computer and I get to play and I don't have to be an adult for 3 hours while I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on stuff. And then at the end of the 3 hours, I'll pick up my adult burdens again and I will live my adulty life. But in the meantime, like allowing myself to be the child, which inevitably means to slow down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there were times as a kid, I mean, I felt like I was waiting all the freaking time when I was a child, waiting for my mom because she's in the church having 50 conversations. All I want to do is go to Taco Bell and eat a cinnamon twist after church, or I'm waiting for my dad to drop me off at the mall, or I'm waiting all the time, for things to happen because everything's out of my control. It feels like I'm on other people's schedules. So like slowing down is such a child thing. Like, childhood is so much slower than being an adult is.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Thoughts?
I agree. Um, I'm just trying to think of like when I was a kid, I always had an end in sight for
Mhm.
everything. Like there was a reason, like you said, for everything I did,
Yeah.
and there still is. Um, so I think even as a kid, I don't know if I've ever had that. Like it was slow,
Mhm.
but that feeling of like I have to make this for something. Like I'm starting a rock selling company today. These
Mhm.
are my employees that I have like let's go find I trained you. This is my idea. I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. So I don't there's like nothing for me to call back to that doesn't have drive in it.
But what about all those times that we were on, not recess, our school called it break.
Break,
What if we
yes.
that we were on break, that you
Mhm.
and I would just vocally riff back and forth with each other. Like
Mhm.
we would call farting popping, and we would we'd make up this song or that song. There were times when we were just talking about it, we'd make up, like we'd take the tunes to popular commercials at the time, and we would make little jingles around people that were mean to us, and we'd insert them into the jingle, and it always
Mhm.
was sounded so stupid. Like we were never going to make an album out of that. We were never going
True.
to sell that. But yet, I mean, I remember nearly peeing my pants, definitely drooling down my hand
That all the time.
all the
I have
time.
a very clear memory of you drooling on yourself.
Constantly drooling because
Yep.
you were making me laugh so hard with all the nonsense that you were saying. You didn't have to do that, but you did it because it was play. So
Yeah.
even though you had a lot of times that you were doing things for a reason, you also we're making up shit on the spot to say that was ridiculous, that and you and I would riff off of each other constantly,
Mhm.
and it annoyed the crap out of people.
That's true.
But in our little group of 2, we thought it was brilliant. What about that energy?
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Let's do that. I did say that this podcast to me is like the only thing that I'm not like, I have to do this ever,
Uh-huh.
which is nice.
Yeah.
You know? I'm never like,
Girl, I
I
get it.
can't because I have this podcast.
Mhm.
This feels like that. It feels like play, feels like fun. I get to talk to my friend. She along with all of our listeners can help me sort my shit out. Just kidding. But yeah, I mean, this feels like play to me, and I really super enjoy it. And it's slow. We don't
Yeah.
have a lot of answers. We're not trying to get to a point. It keeps in a good way circling the same vibe, that is, there is no right answer to
Yep.
how you make things. And I should, that Alice in Wonderland song, I give myself very good advice, but I
Mhm.
very seldom follow it. Like, listen to thyself. Physician, heal thyself.
Yeah, but it's not just I wish it was one choice that we make, like asking Jesus into your heart. Oh, we said the words, and
Done.
now he's forever in
Eternity is
our
secure.
hearts. Exactly. But like it's not I'm finding out, and this is super annoying, by the way. I wish it weren't like this, but it's constantly making choices in that direction. Like I'm constantly like saying this shit on our podcast and then falling all over my words 5 minutes after I've, like hung up from our call. And I find myself being like, I just talked about this. I just said this, but it's not like a one-time choice. It's like a constantly choosing, which is annoying.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be like Jesus in my heart,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not.
I moved it over here and now it stays there
Right.
in this box.
But that's what's so aggravating about being a human being is like our brains forget and our
Mm.
bodies forget, and we just so easily slip back into the patterns that feel comfortable to us, which for me is very horizontal in my bed and anxious at the same time. And I
Mm.
have to keep reminding myself, I want to keep reminding myself, all you're doing is going downstairs and being a kid again. Stop
Mm-hmm.
worrying about all the adulty publishing shit that keeps going around in your head, or craft or style or whatever. Like I read Stephen King's book called On Writing, and he's like, just get it down. Your first draft is for play. It's for telling
Mm.
your own self the story. It's for getting lost in your creation. There's time
Mm.
for adulting later, but like play. Forget about all that other shit, the other
Mm.
heavy adulty stuff. Like I I like that.
Yeah.
That gives me hope.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Just play. I know, you'd never think it would be this hard to do. Um,
I
but it
know.
sure is. And continuing to remind yourself. It's like, meditation. It's a similar thing that we just have to keep catching
Mhm.
ourselves going off into the weeds and being like, hey, 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 come
Yep.
back over here. It's okay. And I was telling someone when I was in LA, one of the other people that was there was giving me a ride to the airport, which was nice. And I was like, I don't like doing things I'm bad at.
Oh yeah.
So like meditation, bad at that. But it is designed for us to be bad at it. That makes you good at it
Yeah.
because you keep catching yourself drifting and being like, come back, it's okay. Now clear it out.
Yep.
And I think that's essentially what this silent time is going to be. I'm catching myself going, oh God, you better adulting, like you said,
Mhm.
and going, come back over here. We're playing. That's what we're doing. Whew. Listeners, I think that it would make me feel really good to know that this is not just me and
Mhm.
just Carrie
Yep.
in our different ways. Um, Do you resonate with this? Does this feel like something like what version of this do you resonate with? I want to know.
Me too.
Um but continuing to come back to play and listening to that part of us, that sounds real good. Sounds really hard though. You guys up for it?
I'm up for it. All right, dear listeners, hit us up on the socials. You know where to find us. Honestly, dear listener, everywhere. We'd love to hear from you. And until next week,
Honestly, dear listener.
woo!